Have you ever heard about macros, but maybe you're feeling confused on what actually you need to know and what doesn't really matter, and it's maybe a little bit confusing for you? Do you want to actually know how to set your macros or macronutrients for fat loss and muscle gain, building strength for a lasting transformation without all the guesswork and all the craziness stuff? If so, you're in the right place because in this video, I'm going to actually show you exactly how to calculate the right amount of protein, the right amount of carbohydrates, the right amount of fats in a way that fits your goals step by step. And I'm going to also show you how to align your numbers with your metabolism, your lifestyle, your body, and your goals so you can finally see real lasting results. So if your protein, your carbs, your fats aren't aligned, chances are your results are going to stall or you're just not going to feel as good as what you want to. So, hey, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. My name is Lance, and since 2005, I have helped hundreds upon hundreds of high-performing entrepreneurs, creators, and leaders get rid of excess body fat, get stronger than ever possibly before, and get more confidence than they even thought possible as well, without the extremes, without the obsession, or giving up their lives to do it. So if you're a faith-driven, high achiever who is confident at work, but you're feeling maybe stuck or held back in your health and fitness, and maybe you want a permanent transformation built on rock instead of another temporary makeover built on sand, you're in the right place. Let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen very first thing here. Hopefully you can see that. I think we're good. All right, so we are talking about how to calculate macros for fat loss, specifically for faith-driven high achievers over 35. This is your guide. So very first thing is that if you're truly wanting to see fat loss that lasts more than a few months, a few weeks, or even longer than a year, it is so incredibly important to know the science as opposed to just following somebody else's rules of what got them in shape, so that you're not duped by the next marketing gimmick or the next diet fad or the next expensive supplement, feeling like you're missing out, because all of these things come out, and unfortunately, a lot of them may not fit your lifestyle. They may not be that safe or effective or sustainable for your lifestyle, for what you're doing. So what you need to know is that carbs, even though they get a bad rap, carbohydrates, they don't cause fat gain any more than fats do or any more than proteins do. Now, I will say that fats actually have more calories than carbohydrates and no fiber. So I would actually posit that fats are worse for you than carbs. Now, they're not worse for you. They're only worse for you if you're eating them in excess and getting the wrong ones. But I just want to make the point that everybody gets hung up on carbs. And when you're cutting out carbs, there's two things that are happening. Number one, every carbohydrate is worth 4 calories. We'll talk about that in a minute. So you're going to be decreasing calories when you cut your carbs. But the real thing is, number two, when you cut your carbs, the suffix of carbohydrate is what? Hydrate. What does that mean? It means that you are infusing water inside of your body when you're eating any carbs. So if you're overdoing carbs, especially on simple carbs that are processed and high glycemic index, then yeah, you're not going to see the fat loss that you want to see. But if you are dialed in on doing the things that I teach on this channel, you can eat all the carbs that you want to as long as your lifestyle is balanced out, and you're going to get some great results, okay? And that's my little side tangent. I just want to let people know, because so many people are like, well, I'll just go back on keto. I'll just go back on this, and so on and so forth. So what you need to know is that each macronutrient is worth a certain amount of calories. So reducing any macronutrient or cutting it out is going to lead to fat loss within a certain amount of let's say within a certain amount. If you go over that, then you're going to have the opposite effect, meaning a lot of times people will cut their calories by 1,000, 1,200 calories, and then you're going to end up slowing down the metabolism, et cetera, et cetera. So what I mean to say is that within reason, reducing those are going to lead to fat loss. But okay, disclaimers out of the way. Okay, so macronutrients. Macros is short for macronutrients. First thing you need to know. And each of these things have a certain value, kind of like you can give somebody $1 or you can give them 4 quarters or 10 dimes or 20 nickels. It's all $1, but what you have and how you chose to use that change made up your dollar in a different way. Same thing for macronutrients. So proteins are 4 calories, carbs are 4 calories, and fats are 9. Now, maybe if you're watching this channel, you don't have alcohol, you don't drink wine, you don't have a beer, you don't have anything like that, and that's okay. But maybe you do, and that's okay too. Now, on this channel, I am Bible first, so I'm going to tell you I am absolutely anti getting drunk. The word is very clear about that. Drunkenness is not what we want. Drunkenness, I'll even go so far to say that it's a sin, okay? But if you wanted to have a drink or to have something like that within moderation, you're not going to hear me being negative about that in the slightest. If you feel negatively about that, or if it bothers you that I am okay with that, may not be the channel for you. And I don't mean to be rude, but I'm not going to change my opinion until the Holy Spirit convicts me on that. I am anti-drunkenness. I am not anti-alcohol. But alcohol does have a lot of negatives with it. Increased cortisol, amongst many, many other things, such as when alcohol is present in the body, it's going to slow down the utilization or the usage of burning fats, carbs, and proteins at all for fat loss, for metabolism. So when alcohol is present, your body is going to metabolize or use all of the alcohol calories before it even considers using the calories from carbohydrates and fats. Now, proteins, again, I'm not going to say that we're going to use that for fat anyway, but there is still calories in there. So alcohol is 7 calories. It's not technically a macronutrient because it has no nutritious value, but we call it a hidden macro because it does have calories. And if you are using it, you want to know how it affects you, okay? So hopefully this all makes sense. And now we've got extremes with macros, and then we have macro balance. On this channel, I want to teach you macro balance. So fats being so high in calories, again, 9 calories per gram, is part of the reason that the low fat craze occurred in the 80s and 90s. You may remember that, like, oh, this is really fattening. This is a fatty foods, or, oh, I just got to go on a low fat diet. And even bodybuilders at the time were doing more low fat principles. And so unfortunately though, it just like doing the extreme of low carbs, the extreme of doing low fat really sucked for dieters, weight loss enthusiasts, fitness people. It just wasn't sustainable. So it didn't even really last, even though it brought fat loss results just like cutting carbs. But for whatever reason, I guess because of the fact that you can cut carbs and still have bacon and sausage and all those fattening type foods, and I literally mean fatty foods, foods with fat, and fats taste really good, I don't think that the low fat craze really caught on as much, because when you cut out fat, you're really cutting out a lot of your flavor, and it really helps produce a lot of the happy hormones that we get. Whereas cutting out carbs, you still get bacon and sausage and all that. So it's a little bit more enticing, but is it more effective? No, it's still going to be calories in, calories out. Okay. So what is macro balance? Well, that's the area that you're going to learn here on this channel, which is where you're eating a safe amount of calories. Again, if you've not watched my video yet on getting the right amount of calories for your fat loss or strength goals, definitely check that out. But a safe calorie deficit, or a safe amount of calories that you're taking in, with a healthy blend or ratio of all 3 of the macronutrients, not counting alcohol. That's the 4th hidden one. Again, I only made my little disclaimer just to say you're going to hear me talk about alcohol because I've got clients that are going to want a glass of wine, and I don't want you thinking like, oh gosh, Lance is mentioning alcohol, maybe he's not blah, blah, blah for me. I'm just saying that if you are that person that's very convicted about, alcohol, where you're like to the point of it bothers you that I am okay with it, the channel may not be for you. I hope it is, because I hope that you'll allow the Holy Spirit to convict you of those things, as opposed to just shutting down anything just because you and I might have a different opinion on that. Anyway, again, disclaimers out of the way. So this doing the macro ratio balance, where you have a safe ratio, and we'll talk about what that is, seems to be so much more sustainable compared to going low fat, low carb, or again, I've never heard of people doing low protein. People do that on accident, but low protein as well, okay? So macro balance is what we're going to look for. Now, you may hear me on this channel talk about what we call macro friendly. This is a big thing that I want to talk about a lot of times, not in this particular video, but macro friendly is going to be essentially where you have a good macro ratio. And a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm trying to eat healthy. Healthy is good, it's nutritious for you, but healthy doesn't equal fat loss in and of itself. Macro balance won't equal fat loss in and of itself. When you have the right amount of calories and macro balance, you can be both healthy and seeing fat loss results and strength gains as well. Plus, it's going to be more sustainable for the body, for your lifestyle, and all of that. Okay? All right, so proteins is going to be the most important macronutrient we're going to talk about. It has 4 calories per gram, as we mentioned before. It's the highest in what's called thermic effect of food, which is TEF. You might also read that as thermic effect of feeding. It's pretty much the same thing. What that means is that when you are consuming these foods, the thermic effect of the food is how many calories are used for digestion and nutrient delivery when you consume that food. Now, for protein, about 25 to 30% of your calories that you take in from protein will be instantly burned from digestion and from nutrient delivery. It's pretty cool, actually. So that means if you're eating 100 calories of protein, 25 to 30 of those calories are immediately used, even if you did no exercise, no movement, no nothing. That's pretty awesome. Now, what does it do? It builds and repairs muscle. It protects lean body mass when you're in a calorie deficit so that you prevent slowing down your metabolism more. That's pretty awesome. It also helps with satiety. It's going to help with keeping cravings at bay. And again, as I mentioned, it's going to help to keep your metabolism higher. Because if we have a high TEF, that means that, which is one of the 4 components of your metabolism, this is a big deal. So it really does a lot for the metabolism. How much should you have? Well, I teach that you want to aim for between 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per goal, not your body weight, but goal body weight. Meaning that sometimes it's been taught where it's like, I weigh 215 pounds, so people would say eat 215 grams of protein. Well, that's okay, but if you're maybe a woman watching this and you're 150 pounds, but you want to weigh 130 pounds, maybe, which again, I don't focus on scale, you'll see that. But if maybe that's your goal, you may not want to take 150 grams of protein just because you weigh 150. But 130 grams of protein might feel doable. But you might also go, well, it's still a decent amount. Okay, well, instead of doing 1 gram per pound of goal body weight, just do 0.8. So it'll be a little bit less, okay? Now, the example would be 200 pounds, which is a little bit lighter than what I am, which would be 200 grams of protein, meaning that that's your goal body weight, is 800 calories, 200 times 4. There you go. You're set. So that already covers our protein. We usually, when we're figuring out our calories, we figure calories first, then we figure out protein, then we figure out fats, and then whatever's left over is for your carbohydrates. So we've got your protein figured out. Next, let's go to fats. So fats, 9 calories per gram, mentioned that at the beginning of the video. It is the lowest TEF, thermic effect of feeding or thermic effect of food, only 2 to 3% compared to 25 to 30% when we're looking at proteins. Make sure, okay, good. Making sure my video is still showing. Okay, so it's essential for hormones like testosterone, making sure that your testosterone is where it should be. Brain, meaning brain function. Again, it's going to affect a lot of things pertaining to your happiness as far as like your happy hormones. And then, of course, your joints, skin, insulation. The list goes on, but that's plenty to show you. Fats are important, okay? So fats are not bad. We don't need to avoid them. They're just calorie dense, so we need to be intentional about them, okay? So we want to aim for 20 to 40% of our total calories to be coming from fats. So again, we basically want to make this more flexible based on your food preferences. So for me, I prefer to do about 35% fats because I do enjoy having enough fats. Some people really want a lot more carbs, so maybe they're only going to do 20% or 25%. I really just like that 35% mark. So for most of my clients, I start for about 30 to 35, and then we adjust as needed, okay? Most people start around 30%, and that's kind of a good place to start with if you want to do that. And then again, the example on this one would be if you're taking in 2,000 calories, you go 2,000 calories times 30% or 0.30 equals 600 calories. You divide that by 9, which tells you 67 grams of fat. So if we go back to this one, we know that we have 200 grams of protein, and now we know that we have 67 grams of fat. That leaves us only now with our carbohydrates. That's it. So carbohydrates, 4 calories per gram, as we mentioned at the beginning again. It is a little bit more on TEF, being 5 to 10%, so better than fats. But the disclaimer is that if you are taking in fibrous carbs, fiber itself is going to be higher TEF, closer to that 25% mark that protein is. So fiber is not a macronutrient, but it's worth mentioning. We'll talk about that in a minute too. So carbs are going to help with brain function, energy, performance, fuel. It is so important. Now, other people would say, like, well, if you do keto, you use ketones, and that means that your brain functions without needing glucose. I get that, but I still feel better, and I feel like out of 20 years of doing this professionally now, all of my clients who keep their fats up instead of keeping their carbs up instead of cutting them out completely, do have better cognitive function, better clarity, and again, they have more muscle fullness, which is a big thing too. I hate when I did keto back whenever it was still called Atkins or the all-fat diet. It's been rebranded so many different times. People forget that. But the point is, when I did it, I lost body fat for sure because, again, you're cutting out a lot of calories, but I always felt flat and I did not feel as strong. I just didn't. Maybe you disagree, but that's just how I felt. Now, what does it do? It replenishes glycogen, that's what's in the muscle, ready for energy. It improves your training quality immensely, especially when you're doing low and moderate glycemic index carbs instead of high, like what you'll learn on this channel too. So there's two ways to calculate this. Option one is to do your goal body weight times your carbs as well, just like what you did on your proteins, which is if I'm 200 pounds, or my goal weight is 200, I would do 200 carbs. Simple. So 200 proteins, 200 carbs, they're always equal. That's a 40-40-20 split. 40% carbs, 40% proteins, and 20% fats. The other way to do this is option two, which is where you take just simply whatever's left over. Remember, I'll show you here, 67 fats and 200 carbs, which is 800 calories and 600 calories. So we're at 1400, which means 600 calories remain. So we take 2000 calories minus 800 protein minus 600 fats equals 600 total calories left. 600 calories divided by 4 grams of 4 calories per gram equals 150 carbs. Simple as that. Okay. So it's either one of them. It makes me no difference which one you want to do. There's one is an easier way to calculate. One of them gives you more potentially. So it's really up to you. Test those out and see, but both of those will work. Okay. Now, fiber, as I mentioned, technically not a macronutrient, but is a micronutrient, but it's part of the carbs and not a macro, as I mentioned. It's going to have a big impact on digestion, blood sugar, satiety, TEF, again, that thermic effect of food, but it's also going to affect your gut health. It's going to affect so many different things that you're unaware of. So when you do low carb, it means that you're also doing low fiber, which means that you're reducing your thermic effect of food. It also means that you're reducing potentially the digestion that you really want to actually feel optimized, okay? And then again, bringing back up alcohol because it's not technically a macro, we call it a hidden macro, 7 calories per gram, no nutritional value, but it does. Now, again, in case I sounded like I was promoting alcohol at the beginning, definitely not. It has a lot of negatives. It's going to affect your hormones, specifically cortisol, and recovery, and it's also going to stifle your ability to burn calories from fat or from carbohydrates, okay? So at least until it's out of your system. So as much as I'm going to tell you, like I'll teach you how to include alcohol, I want to really, really strongly emphasize, number one, if you're drinking alcohol specifically because you're having like bad days, this is known as numbing or escapism. And a little bit like escapism can also be going to sleep if you had a long day. But going to sleep is going to be quite a bit healthier than just reaching for alcohol. So the point is that if you're using alcohol because you enjoy a glass of wine and because it's like, hey, it's good for, for blood and it's good for all of these different things that you've heard and it's got antioxidants and all that, fine, be my guest. But doing 2, 3, 4, 5, glasses of wine is definitely going to not only impede your ability to be as healthy and fit as you want to, it's also going to create psychological issues long-term, and meaning that you're going to get more into that stance of numbing, escapism, coping, as opposed to allowing the Lord to heal your situation or giving you wisdom on how to get through said situation. So I really just do put a lot of disclaimers on that, making sure that we're not leading into excess. My big thing is I don't want somebody who's watching this to think that if I have a glass of wine or two or what have you, that Lance on this channel is going to be beating me up for it. Not at all. That's between you and the Holy Spirit. If you feel convicted about doing that, do not let me, because I'm okay with it, affect you, because that is between you and the Lord. Okay? With that said, though, if you do, my strong encouragement is use within moderation, because when you start producing cortisol excessively, or secreting cortisol excessively because of stress, because of alcohol, because of all this stuff, you are going to slow down your ability to build muscle or synthesize protein into muscle, and you're going to slow down your ability to lose fat, because when cortisol is present in the body, it is going to slow down all the other hormonal faculties, from digestion, cognitive function, and of course, MPS, muscle protein synthesis. So it's just one of those things where, again, I do want to make sure that I'm clear about my stance on it, and I want to help you to get healthy, but my job is to help you have health within a biblical standpoint, as well as the physiological outcomes that you want. So hopefully that makes sense. Sorry to drone on about that, but being a live video, I want to make sure I'm really talking about the things so you go, okay, well, where does he stand on this? This is where I stand. So go ahead and drop a comment if you want me to do a video on either of these two, whether fiber, alcohol, or both, and I'll cover that as well. Whatever questions you have, drop them below, and I'll go through that too. Lastly, do you want to learn the ins and outs of fat loss nutrition, the fun and realistic way that fits your lifestyle long-term, so you can have a long-term transformation or a permanent transformation built on rock instead of a temporary makeover built on sand? I wrote a short book just for you. It's called Food, Love, and Fat Loss, the most comprehensive guide to losing fat, not flavor. That's the key here. It's going to show you how to build real food freedom without sabotaging your goals. And right now it is on sale. I don't know how long it'll be on the sale for as far as the price that it's at. So click the link right now and you can check that out. If not, you can also check out, I've got a free fat loss calculator. Now, it's not only for fat loss. If you're wanting to build strength, you can do that too. But you'll click that below too. It's going to help you to figure out your exact calories, your exact macros. So there's no thinking, and I think you'll love it. So that is everything I've got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Let me do that. There we go. And if you have any questions, I'd love to hear those. Don't forget, guys, if this was helpful for you, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos for those who are kingdom-minded, wanting to have a total permanent transformation built on rock instead of another temporary makeover built on sand. That's everything. Thank you guys so much. I will see you all.